coach?
Obviously, Marlo and Justin, heading other ways now. Just what's it going to be kind of like replacing them, and what are you going to miss most about not having them?
Not having them, yeah, obviously they're irreplaceable. Two guys that have played that much football. It was a blessing to have them while we did. I was thankful and grateful to be able to coach them. As far as moving forward, right, we've got a lot of guys looking to compete, right, to earn those roles. Going into last season, obviously we had Marlo, had those guys, so there wasn't, there's still competition, but this year it's wide open, right? A lot of young guys, a lot of more experienced guys, all out there competing to try to take those roles.
Who are you kind of seeing step up in those leadership roles in the absence of Marlo and Justin?
Yeah, leadership within the linebacker room, Derek and Anwar, both of those guys have done a really good job to kind of replace the leadership that we lost.
What was your first reaction when you saw Delorier sort of walk through the doors? He doesn't look like a normal freshman.
Yeah, obviously we recruited him for a long time, but been really impressed with him. Obviously, everybody knew what he looks like from a muscle and a stature standpoint, but he's a true professional. Shows up, works, studies, goes to class, does everything right. He's another one of those guys that you love to coach.
Is there an area that he's sort of particularly good at this point, and then an area where he needs to sort of grow and get better at?
Yeah, obviously continuing to improve everything. He's a true freshman, but anything that involves contact, muscles, all that stuff, he's really good at all that stuff. But he's a real good natural mover. There's not very much stiffness. He's really done a great job.
I know we've seen the 4th and 1. Sorry, I know we've seen the 4th and 1, 4th and 1 shirts a lot. How do you think that kind of drives this team, especially this coaching staff heading into the next year?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we've always preached. You never know what play it is in what game at any point throughout the game that could be the play that determines, the game and/or your season. So just continuing to harbor that mindset, like every single walkthrough it is that this play may be the play that shows up in week 9 that changes the entire season. So sticking with that, and going from there.
There was a little bit of time there, Coach, when Anwar was in the portal,
Yeah.
and he came back. Just tell me about that process and what it means to you to have him back.
Yeah, I love Anwar. He's one of my, within the room, he's got a great personality. He's got a great, everything about him. He's fun to be around. He's very coachable. Continuing to grow in our relationship and everything like that. But really glad to have him, and he's one of those guys competing, to take one of the starting spots. So glad to have him back. Glad it worked out that way.
He seemed to say that he was he wasn't playing his best. You guys had a conversation with him about role.
Yeah.
He started to play better.
Yep.
You had another conversation about role, and that sort of led to him coming back. Does that sound right to you in terms of how that went down?
If he told you that, that sounds about right.
In terms of Coach Fran, how have you really seen him grow from year 1 to year 2 this far?
Yeah, Coach Fran's constantly growing. Even from the first month that we worked here to last week, he's continually growing. He's not afraid to consult other people that he thinks knows, certain aspects better than him. So he's constantly growing, never settled, and just glad to be back with him for year 2.
There was quite a reaction on Pro Day when Marlo ran this 40. It kind of, cultivated the whole recovery process. What was your reaction to this?
Honestly, watching him run and do that made me emotional. Just everything that he did for us as a leader before his injury and then did after the injury. It's probably pretty clear that he came back before he was totally 100%. And so for him to sacrifice like that, put the team first, and then come out here and be able to run as well as he did, it was really cool.
You mentioned Derek's leadership. How important is he to kind of the success of your room and the whole defense this season?
Yeah, Derek's crucial. I mean, all of the guys that we have that are returning with experience, they're all very important. Derek especially, he's played a lot of positions, he's played a lot of football, he's been around for a long time, he knows he's truly all the way bought into Coach Frank's culture and what we're trying to push, so he's vital.
Coach Robinson said the other day when we got to talk to him that you guys kind of knew after last season that you had to clean up the tackling. Just can you tell us what the emphasis has been with that this spring?
Yeah, I mean, tackling comes down to taking good angles, right? If you can't get yourself in the right position to make the tackle, you're really going to struggle. So taking that, from walkthroughs to individual drills to a team defense tackling circuit, right? Just creating all the different situations, vice tackles, sideline tackles, all those different scenarios, right? And really repping the angles that we need to take to the football.
In the bowl game, you got some of your younger guys to get some experience. Just what was that kind of like for you to see that, and maybe who stood out to you?
Yeah, man, the bowl game feels like a year ago. I mean, a lot of the young guys got in. I can't remember anybody in particular, but it was really cool. The one that pops out to me was Jaleel Martin. Got into the game, hadn't started all season, started the bowl game, and then made a huge interception for us. So off the top of my head, him, but it was awesome. Like that last drive, I think we got every single player on the team on defense in the game, which is truly special. That's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a lot of those guys. So really cool. I'm sure a lot of them will never forget it. So happy that we're able to do that.
Coach, having another big, losing one big, still having another.
Yeah.
What have you seen?
Yeah, so my relationship with the Digs goes all the way back to Fidel's freshman year at Texas A&M. So it's awesome to have seen Fidel grow from where he was his freshman year to all the way, where he is now, preparing for the NFL. And then to have another brother, with a similar mindset, that hard work, determination, like nothing's going to stop me kind of mindset is awesome. It's great. He's just a smaller version of his brother. So love having him as well.
You mentioned the angles.
Yeah.
Does that come from, last year rather than focusing on tackling techniques, you guys are trying to learn like a new system? And is there more time to focus on those things this year?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you get here, you're trying to, like even the basics of like, these are the positions on our defense. Like that's literally where you have to start. So not that we weren't practicing tackling, but now that we do have, we're aware of where we have to improve, dedicating the appropriate time to it. And making sure that at the end of the day, schematically, we're not doing too much, because if players don't know what they're doing, they play slow because they're thinking. When players know what they're doing, they can play fast, they can run to the ball, they can take those good angles and really slow their minds down and think of the execution better.
Was there a point last year where you were like sort of seeing them slower than you would like, and then was there a point where they sort of got it? Or did they never quite maybe get what you wanted?
I mean, obviously, like, our mindset is it's never good enough, right? So even if we didn't miss a single tackle last year, it'd be like, cool, how do we get more knockback on our tackles? Like, how do we, stuff like that. But it was, it all depended. It was different. We were changing schemes a lot with losing Marlowe and all this stuff, like kind of bouncing around. But overall, it just wasn't good enough. So.
Anything else for Coach?